Hello everyone. So here I'll just present a one brief concept discussion, a brief scenario related to pediatric intensive care, pediatric emergency and pediatrics. Where the scenario given here, 10-year-old child, 50 kg weight, he suffered an electrical current injury. He arrived in the emergency in the pulseless state. So we should pay attention to everything important. This is important. History is important. Here the scenario. He arrived at the emergency in the pulseless state. CPR was started as per the protocol. 3 cycles of CPR has already been done. 2 doses of injection epinephrine have been given. 0.01 mg per kg of 1:10,000 solution intravenously have been given. And scenario is that the rhythm is changed from figure 1 to figure 2. What should be our next most appropriate intervention? That's what is being asked. This is the figure 1. Remember that the child has no pulses or is unresponsive when we are seeing this activity on the monitor. So what is this type of activity called? We should be able to recognize and understand which type of activity are we dealing with so that we go for the correct next step. So the question was that this was the initial figure 1 and then the activity changed to figure 2. So let's go to figure 2. This is the figure 2. No pulses are felt and we can now see that this activity here is basically a ventricular fibrillation and pulses are always absent in ventricular fibrillation. So the scenario is now changed. Initially the child had some activity on the monitor which looked like some sort of organized activity, but now it is like this. So the questions given to us are, these are the options given to us. Should we continue to CPR, administer injection amiodarone at 5 mg per kg over 30 minutes? Second option is continue CPR, administer adenosine 0.1 mg per kg by 2 syringe technique. Third is continue CPR, implant synchronized cardioversion. Fourth is administer DC shock at 100 joules and act accordingly. So before moving on, let's just discuss these options and where are they most applicable. So basically, the first option is continue CPR and injection amiodarone at 5 mg per kg. This is usually used when in a cases of prolonged arrest scenario when the child is not responding, prolonged ventricular tachycardia, then amiodarone can be used. Not in the initial steps and particularly not in the scenario that has been given to us. Second option is continue CPR and lips injection adenosine. The important thing is that the dose of adenosine, whether is it right, it is 0.01 mg per kg stat. Yes, it is given by the 2 syringe technique because of its half-life of about 30 seconds, but the dose is 0.1 mg per kg. So by mistake, it has been given as 0.01 mg per kg. But the question is, should we go and give adenosine at this stage? Because child has come into figure 2. Probably not. We'll look at that in the further slides. Third option is continue CPR and plan synchronized cardioversion. So we should know when synchronized cardioversion is given or done, or whether is this the correct scenario. For that, option 4 is administer DC shock at 100 joules and act accordingly. This seems to be the correct option. If you recognize the rhythm, ventricular fibrillation, as the name says, ventricular fibrillation, it requires defibrillation. So defibrillation, direct current shock at 100 joules, 2 joules per kg for a 50 kg child, and so on. So we should approach this case like this. The child, as I already discussed, child was a 10-year-old 50 kg child, cardiac arrest, pulseless state, pulseless electrical activity. As long as if it is either asystole or pulseless electrical activity, we do CPR. After CPR, but what happened was that the rhythm changed from a non-shockable to a shockable rhythm. That is the basic idea about the scenario. We should know the CPR algorithm, we should be able to recognize the rhythm and act accordingly. Ideally, if the child is in ICU, we should not let such a scenario arise. Here, the child presented in the emergency from the community. But any child in ICU with bradycardia, heart rate less than 60 minutes, with or without poor perfusion, we should never neglect it. We should always come to the child, examine the child, look for possible causes. Most of the times, if it's a symptomatic bradycardia, because of a hypoxia, some other causes, then it should be correctable. We should try. Cardiac arrest has to be prevented. Prevention is the best treatment. However, if pulseless arrest develops, then we go to a cardiac arrest algorithm. This is another algorithm which is very important, and all the staff working in the pediatric ICU should be well aware of this. Is a pediatric tachycardia with pulse and poor perfusion. Here, basically, we're looking at the QRS duration. It is narrow complex, less than 0.09 second QRS, and usually the causes are sinus tachycardia or supraventricular tachycardia. Supraventricular tachycardia has mostly these things. P waves are difficult to see, heart rate is usually fixed, and heart rate can go up to more than 220 to 30, although even sinus tachycardia sometimes heart rate can go up to that much levels. Ventricular tachycardia, if there is a wide complex rhythm and if the pulse is present, then we go for synchronized cardioversion. Here we try to synchronize the current that we are going to deliver with the R wave of the pulse or R wave of the ongoing electrical activity of the heart, so that there is no depolarization. So if we give a DC shock, if we defibrillate a child who is having a pulse, the child will go into fibrillation because it just depolarizes the whole myocardium. Adenosine can be given here, and it's a treatment for SVT also. If IV excess is present and if your child is in SVT with poor perfusion, then we give adenosine. Adenosine is given first dose 0.1 mg per kg rapid bolus, second dose is 0.2 mg per kg rapid bolus. Amiodarone is usually for ongoing uh, ongoing arrest scenario. We'll look at it. We'll look at it in the arrest algorithm also. This is the pediatric cardiac arrest algorithm. Here, basically, we want to differentiate between a shockable versus non-shockable rhythm. Initially, this child presented to us in a non-shockable rhythm. It was a asystole. It was a pulseless electrical activity. So this was started CPR for 2 minutes, epinephrine every 3 to 5 minutes. This was given. Rhythm is shockable. Whenever the rhythm came to shockable. Yes, we go to this 5 or 7. So basically, from here we went to this step 5. If rhythm is shockable, yes, you give shock. The shock, how much dose to be given is given here. 2 joule per kg. Second dose 4 joule per kg. This subsequent shocks are more than 4 kg. Maximum dose is 10 joule per kg. Again, this rhythm is very important. This algorithm is very important. It gives us doses of epinephrine, 0.01 mg per kg of a diluted solution, or 0.1 ml per kg of a 1:10,000. It's the same thing. If you diluted epinephrine to 10 times 1 plus 9, no excess available, you can give endotracheal dose, 10 times dose of that. Amiodarone during cardiac arrest may be given up to 2 times for. This is the indication for amiodarone. Refractory VF for pulseless VT, it may be given. So, points basically are we should be able to recognize arrest, differentiate when to do CPR defibrillation. We should know the correct dosages and follow the pulse algorithms. Thank you.